There have been three themes, haven't there, running through the conference, which are relevant to what I want to talk about. One is the extraordinary evidence of human creativity in all of the presentations that we've had and in all the people here. Just the variety of it and the range of it. The second is that it's put us in a place where we have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the future. No idea how this may play out. I have an interest in education. Actually, what I find is everybody has an interest in education, don't you? I find this very interesting. If you're at a dinner party and you say you work in education, actually, you're not often at dinner parties, frankly, if you work in education, you're not asked, you know, and you're never asked back, curiously. That's I think that strikes me. But if you are, and you say to somebody, they say, what do you do? And you say, you work in education, you can see the blood run from their face. They think, oh my God, you know, why me? It's my one night out all week. But if you ask people about their education, they pin you to the wall. Because it's one of those things that goes deep with people. Am I right? Like religion and money and other things. So I have a big interest in education, and I think we all do. We have a huge vested interest in it, partly because it's education that's meant to take us into this future that we can't grasp. If you think of it, children starting school this year will be retiring in 2065. Nobody has a clue, despite all the expertise that's been on parade for the past 4 days, what the world will look like in 5 years' time. And yet we're meant to be educating them for it. So the unpredictability, I think, is extraordinary. And the third part of this is that we've all agreed, nonetheless, on the really extraordinary capacities that children have, their capacities for innovation. I mean, Serena last night was a marvel, wasn't she? Just seeing what she could do. And she's exceptional, but I think she's not, so to speak, exceptional in the whole of childhood. What you have there is a person of extraordinary dedication who found a talent. And my contention is all kids have tremendous talents, and we squander them pretty ruthlessly. So I want to talk about education, and I want to talk about creativity. My contention is that creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. Thank you.
We are so focused on a goal, whether it be passing a test or graduating as first in the class. However, in this way, we do not really learn at our fullest. We do whatever it takes to achieve our original objective. Some of you may be thinking, well, if you pass a test or become valedictorian, didn't you learn something? Well, yes, you learned something, but not all that you could have. Perhaps you only learned how to memorize names, places, and dates to later on forget in order to clear your mind for the next test. School is not all that it can be. Right now, it's a place for most people to determine that their goal out is to get out as soon as possible. I'm now accomplishing that goal. I'm graduating. I should look at this as a positive experience, especially being at the top of my class. However, in retrospect, I cannot say that I'm any more intelligent than my peers. I can attest that I am only the best at doing what I'm told. Here I stand, and I'm supposed to be proud that I have completed this period of indoctrination. I will leave in the fall, and I will go on to the next phase expected of me in order to receive a paper document that certifies that I'm capable of work. But I contest that I'm a human being, not just a worker. I'm a thinker, an adventurer. A worker is someone who is trapped within repetition, a slave of the system set up before him. But now I have successfully shown that I was the best slave. I did what I was told to the extreme. While others sat in class and doodled to later become great artists, I sat in class to take notes to become a great test taker. While others would come to class without their homework done because they were reading about an interest of theirs, I never missed an assignment. While others were creating music and writing lyrics, I decided to do extra credit, even though I didn't even need it. So I wonder, why did I even want this position? Sure, I earned it, but what will come of it? When I leave educational institutionalism, will I be successful or forever lost? I have no clue about what I want to do with my life, I have no interest because I saw every subject as a study, as work, and I excelled at every subject just for the purpose of excelling and not learning. And quite frankly, I'm very scared. John Taylor Gatto, a retired school teacher and activist critical of compulsory schooling, asserts, "We could encourage the best qualities of youthfulness, curiosity, adventure, resilience, the capacity for surprising insight simply by being more flexible about time, texts, and tests, by introducing kids into truly competent adults, and by giving each student what autonomy he or she needs in order to take a risk every now and then. But we don't do that. Between these cinder block walls, we are all expected to be the same. We are trained to ace every standardized test, and those who deviate and see light through a different lens are worthless to the scheme of public education, and therefore viewed with contempt." H.L. Mencken wrote in the American Mercury for April 1924 that the aim of public education is not to fill the young of this species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is the aim in the United States. To illustrate this idea, doesn't it perturb you to learn about the idea of critical thinking? Is there really such a thing as uncritically thinking? To think is to process information in order to form an opinion. But if we are not critical when processing this information, are we really thinking? Or are we mindlessly accepting other opinions as truth? This was happening to me, and if it wasn't for the rare occurrence of an avant-garde 10th grade English teacher, Donna Bryan, I would have been doomed. I am now enlightened, but my mind still feels disabled. I must retrain myself and constantly remember how insane this ostensibly sane place really is. And now here I am in a world guided by fear, a world suppressing the uniqueness that lies inside each of us, a world where we can either acquiesce to the inhuman nonsense of corporatism and materialism or insist on change. We are not enlivened by an educational system that clandestinely sets us up for jobs that could be automated, for work that need not be done, for enslavement without fervency for meaningful achievement. We have no choices in life when money is our motivational force. Our motivational force ought to be passion, but this is lost from the moment we step into a system that trains us rather than inspires us. We are more than robotic bookshelves, conditioned to blurt out facts we were taught in school. We are all very special. Every human on this planet is very special. So aren't we all deserving of something better? Of using our minds for innovation rather than memorization, for creativity rather than futile activity, for rumination rather than stagnation? We are not here to get a degree to then get a job so we can consume industry-approved placation after placation. There is more and more still. The saddest part is that the majority of students don't have the opportunity to reflect as I did. The majority of students are put through the same brainwashing techniques in order to create a complacent labor force working in the interests of large corporations and secretive government. And worst of all, they are completely unaware of it. I will never be able to turn back these 18 years. I can't run away to another country with a different education system, perhaps meant to enlighten rather than condition. This part of my life is over, and I want to make sure that no other child will have his or her potential suppressed by powers meant to exploit and control. We are human beings. We are thinkers, dreamers, explorers, artists, writers, engineers. We are anything we want to be, but only if we have an educational system that supports us rather than holds us down. A tree can grow, but only if its roots are given a healthy foundation.
Every education system in the world is being reformed at the moment, and it's not enough. Reform is no use anymore, because that's simply improving a broken model. What we need, and the word's been used many times during the course of the past few days, is not evolution, but a revolution in education. This has to be transformed into something else.
A different perspective on the future is found at this school in Massachusetts. Here the future must start by getting away from the past. The Sudbury Valley School has swept away everything that's connected with the beginning of mass education: classrooms, timetables and teachers.
Other traditional schools are based on the idea that in order for a person to learn, you have to feed him information that you've pre-digested and pre-chosen. And that has nothing to do with the 21st century, where people are really in control of their own destiny.
There are 200 on roll, aged between 4 and 19, and so long as they keep within the rules, they can spend their day doing whatever they please.
I don't see any reason to treat children different from other people. My experience is that they're human beings just like everybody else, and to view a child, certainly after they become articulate and they can make some judgment, which is usually about 4 or 5, to view a child as any less competent to make decisions for themselves than adults, it's ridiculous.
What are you going to do today? The school is open between 8:30 and 5:30, but children can arrive at a time that suits them, so long as they stay for 5 hours. The Sudbury Valley model has been adopted at more than 30 other schools, mostly in North America, but also on a smaller scale in Denmark, Holland, Belgium and Germany. Nowhere is it considered the soft option.
It's the hardest school to be in, and you ask the kids and they'll tell you it's the hardest school to be in.
Why?
Because if you're told what to do all day, it's like taking care of you all day, right? You don't have to make decisions. Here, a kid has to make decisions. The kids aren't happy here all day. The kids are thriving all day and they're active all day, but they go through all the ups and downs of mistakes, of learning from mistakes, of falling on their faces, picking themselves up again. It's a very, very hard existence, and they have to prioritize their time, and they have to sit and say, well, what is that I really want to do? They have to really find out who they are.
Well, the basic philosophy at Alpine Valley School is we believe everyone's born naturally curious. All we do is to create a safe and supportive environment where that creativity or that curiosity can flourish, where students can be treated as the individuals that they are and respected accordingly, and where they can learn what they most need to learn in the ways and at the pace that are most appropriate for them. Because here you see, it's not so much the child fitting the system, it's more about the system fitting the child.
One of the cornerstones in our founding Open Connections was really based on our observation of very, very young children. And we noticed that the 1s and the 2s and the 3-year-olds had this can-do attitude, and there was just nothing that would stop their learning.
It all starts with our belief in human nature. I don't know anybody that thinks that they have to motivate their toddler to get up in the morning and start opening cupboards and dumping things and taking things apart and drawing on things. All we want to do is feed that attitude and keep it alive.
For us, I find that my 8 and 10-year-old are still as excited about learning and doing things.
And so our thought was, how can we honor that just wanting to know, just wanting to find out? How can we honor it and preserve it? Because we think it's natural to the human being. So you've put the science lab and you've put the teen congregating area up in these towers. Electronics and camera, where they're going to.
And then my youngest child, who's 9 and a half, she wakes up on a daily basis with more in her mind to do than the day could ever hold. And goes to bed routinely at night, disappointed that she didn't get to all the things that she imagined were possible for that day.
Sometimes learning, if it's something that you don't want to learn about, it's not very fun, but here, whatever you do and whatever you're learning, it's always fun.
There's some structure in it, but like, it's not bad structure. It's fun, and it's enjoyable, and it's fun learning.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun.
Fun.
Fun?
Fun. Great.
We didn't look at it as a school. We wanted him to have the experience to be around other children and be in a safe environment.
For my children, Open Connections is their most comfortable community connection because it's an extension of the way we live at home, so I think they feel very comfortable.
Probably that can be a little step that goes up into the house.
And so it's an opportunity for young people to come and be together in a productive, what we say, pro-social environment.
It made it really exciting to get to go to Open Connections and be with all of these other kids. But it was neat because I had friends of all different ages. I considered the facilitators my friends as well as the 5- and 6-year-olds.
The ratio of this length to the ratio of this last knuckle. Okay, try that.
You know, a lot of people say when you homeschool you really don't get like the social part of it, but this is a way to be unschooled in a sense and come to somewhere where there are other kids and you can learn but not be in school.
It's also an opportunity to develop the notion of community and to feel a sense of belonging.
The community aspects we had envisioned would be purely for the children, but as it's turned out, it's been extremely beneficial for the children, but it's also been extremely beneficial for my wife and myself too.
It just is so refreshing to be able to sort of take ownership of things and also getting all the support here. I probably wouldn't homeschool if I didn't have Open Connections.
We're providing the parents with the potential community of the other parents. A lot of folks contact us because they feel isolated. They are swimming against the cultural norm, so they come specifically for the purpose of making contact with other families.
And it's not that everybody at Open Connections is the same. There's a lot of diversity here, a lot of people homeschooling for different reasons and a lot of different values, all the way from, you know, religious values to political to, you know, there are some children here who are obviously gifted in many areas, some who would be labeled special ed. But it's that everybody here, we're all accepted as families who are just trying to do the best thing for our children.
They do come together on the topic of thinking consciously about what can I do to enhance my children's educational opportunities, and how can I help my child develop into the kind of person that he or she wants to be, and I think will be a positive contributing member to this society and help make the world a better place.
When you're pulling the bowl out and you keep putting the water in, you know, as you throw, it weakens the clay, and the bottom is what gets the brunt of that. It can also help to pull it apart.
The primary value, I would say, that we support in young people as well as adults is the right to own your own life and to live your own life and to pursue to create and pursue your own dreams.
One of the things Open Connections encourages is to be self-directed and go with your intrinsic motivation, follow your passions.
You can do whatever you want within a certain boundaries. You know, you can speak your mind. You can work openly. You can talk to whoever you want. You can ask any questions that you want.
That you can express yourself in your own way. You figuring out a good way for you to do it and continuing.
Pretty much voice my opinion and let my ideals be the way they are.
When people are pursuing something that they're interested in, that they're even passionate about, their learning, their development, their productivity, their level of life satisfaction is infinitely higher.
Well, my favorite thing about Open Connections is you get to do practically anything you want outside instead of just staying cooped up inside all day. Go feed James T, the rooster. Climb trees. The geese.
Playing at the pond.
The frogs. Sticking my feet in the pond.
Work on video stuff.
Watch them jump over things, and then I show them how to use Final Cut. And we edit it with Final Cut Pro. That's a lot of fun because you can add like crazy music and go like down and down.
Working with wood because you can make so many things out of it. Like right now I'm making a boat. I'm able to build what I think. We're gonna have some wood, and we're gonna like make a design with some tiles and one stones and little pieces of mirror.
The families, the young people themselves have chosen this path of education and use OC as a resource.
They didn't gather so much pollen either. I think they're trying to make honey now.
And after coming here the first day, I knew, because I stayed here with him the whole day in the parents' resource room, thinking that he would need me. And after I watched him run down the hill with his arms outstretched, doing his eagle call, I knew this was the place for him.
It went down there. It's a butterfly. It's a grasshopper. This is a grasshopper. I found it outside hopping, and it has only one back leg.
And it's funny, I can't think of like when I thought to do certain things or when I changed the way I spoke to my children. But looking back, I see that there's just really been a steady change in the way, not just in the way I speak and relate to my children, but the way I think. And not just about my children, the way I think about me, the way I think about my relationship with my husband, with my friends.
What would you call that one?
A square, or
Okay.
maybe a box.
Okay. All right, you got one left on this card, huh? Okay. And that, what would you call that one?
A mushroom.
A mushroom, okay. Everybody has the ability to create new ideas.
To look at both opportunities and ideas from different perspectives. We call that flexible thinking, that life is not just right answers and wrong answers, that there are many shades of gray in life, and that as young people, they reflect that just naturally. I weigh certainly about 8 pounds more than that. So what are the variables, do you think?
Well, then Chase is probably just like a little like heavier.
As facilitators, we really step back and try not to give them our solutions to problems, but encourage them to come up with their own solutions.
It seems to be off in the middle, and the wood probably doesn't seem to be in both places.
Oh, that's an interesting speculation. I never even thought of
Really
that.
expecting that there will be a good deal of the time that they come up with solutions that we wouldn't have come up with, that we wouldn't have thought of.
People are just generally flexible around OC, and you learn from being around flexible people.
At Open Connections, the young people are constantly in charge of their own experience, and so I suspect that as people in the working world, these folks are going to take ownership for what they're doing and come up with creative ideas to do things better. That's exactly what every business leader wants from the people they work with.
I think the best preparation that teenagers get here for being out in the world is that they don't get told that there is something different between being here and being out in the world.
That's something that out in the workforce I think has been valuable for me to constantly be reminded that there are, there's a giant world out there and you can learn new things every day. And at Open Connections, that's something that was always happening. There was always new learning, new experiments.
I go to Bryn Mawr College, and the interest that I've developed as an unschooler, I'm still pursuing there. Classical languages and creative writing, which is a passion that OC really helped me to develop.
If we look at successful adults and we look at what helped them be successful at what they're successful at, most of the ingredients happen outside of a conventional classroom. They include things like imagination, decision-making, the ability to collaborate with other people.
Collaboration is more than valued at Open Connections. It is Open Connections.
Our specialty is to help young people to be better communicators, to be more articulate in their ability to state their opinions, to be better able to work as part of a team, to be conscious about their responses and not just reactive.
I really believe that by the time my children are my age, it's going to be very clear that in the United States, we are going to offer value for creativity and innovation, the ability to create new offerings and to make new things happen. And I think Open Connections prepares young people for a future of innovation.
Organized.
Okay, so tell me how you want me to help you so that I know exactly.
We asked Dr. Frederica Reisman, the founder of Drexel University School of Education, to come out and review what we're doing here at Open Connections. And she told us point blank, she's like, this is the most innovative and promising development in education that she's seen in 20 years.
As a former superintendent of a public school system, I thought Open Connections was an exceptional place to educate and a resource for education for children.
When I think about Open Connections, I think of freedom to be who you are, and being accepted for who you are.
They can be an athlete and a bookworm. They can be somebody who likes to do things with their hands and somebody who likes to write. That it's not about choosing between sides of yourself, but developing all sides of yourself.
Really, for my children, what I want is I want them to have healthy relationships. I want them to have work that's important, and I want them to give back to the world. And I see all of that here. That's what Open Connections gives to us.
I had a very, very, very happy time at Open Connections. I think it's such a great place. I still love coming here.
Gosh, I can't wait until I get to go to OC again. I can't wait until it's Tuesday.
These nutritious people to be around. They're coming here because they want to come here, not because they're being forced to come here. It's nice to be around that. It makes you want to come back.
To me, it's my entire way of life, and it's something that's incredibly special to me, and I hope to be a part of for a very, very long time.
The community of Open Connections, to me, is the way the world's supposed to work.
I think that giving them the world, instead of breaking it down into worksheets and standardized tests, is the best way, absolutely, to become a grown person who can support oneself and who loves to learn.
Reform is no use anymore, because that's simply improving a broken model. What we need, and the word's been used many times during the course of the past few days, is not evolution, but a revolution in education.